Hi everyone. Um, Thank you very much for tuning in. Before I start this program, I've recently um, saw a video from um, Dr. Osie, who is the president of the South England Conference of Seventh Day Adventists, and I've been watching about what he was saying about Boris Johnson's coronavirus update, and I'll be very honest with you. We're living in very tough times, tougher times than before. Um, Never in my entire life have I come to the realization that I will be, for a while at least, a prisoner in my own home. I don't have a cold or anything like that. As you can see, I'm self-isolating as well, and it's not been easy. I'll be honest with you. I do contact my family and relatives and everything, and besides that, and of course, I do my music as well to keep my sanity levels up. Still, it has been difficult for all of us. Everybody. Um, all I can say is, just keep safe. I know that there are people who, for some reason or another, still insist on going out with their mates, either going to the shop or going to some other places where they meet up. But in all seriousness, please, everybody, um, just do what the big guy says. Boris Johnson. I know some of us may not respect him because of his persona or whatever, but I'll be very honest with you. The last couple of weeks, um, you know, he's the guy means business, deadly serious, and in the light of other things that have happened prior to this, like for instance Brexit and all of that, I've got to give him some respect. With that said, and I'm not going to waffle on too much about what's going on. Um, Once again, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. The purpose of this video, basically, I'm going to be talking about a song that I will be showing you a performance of, and also how I would approach it when it comes to creating backing music. So here we go. The song is called Redeemed, and Redeemed is one of the hymns that we sing at church. In case you don't know, I'm a Seventh Day Adventist, which is a branch of Christianity. We go to church on a Saturday, and our main reason for our existence is preaching the three angels' messages. If you want to know what that is, Google it. Okay. So with that said, let's talk about this song Redeemed and its author, Fanny Crosby. Now you got to bear in me just a moment, because I'm actually reading stuff off Wikipedia. In fact, the funny thing about this is that it sort of reminds me of when I was at university, except that back in those days Wikipedia was frowned upon. But in this particular instance, I'll use it. So here we go. So this is about the author, Frances Jane Van Alstyne, who later on became Fanny Crosby. We know as Fanny Crosby. She was born in March 24, 1820, and died in February the 12th, 1915. She was an American mission worker, poet, lyricist, and composer. She was one of the most prolific hymnists, that's someone who writes hymns, in history, with more than 8,000 hymns and gospel songs. She also has more than 100 million copies of those songs printed, despite being blind shortly after birth. So she became blind, I think, about 6 weeks or 6 months, according to this, and yeah, and so she also, according to Wikipedia, she was also known as the Queen of Gospel Songwriters, that's in quotes, and as the mother of modern congregational singing in America, with most American hymnals containing her work. Her gospel songs were paradigmatic of all revival music. In other words, when we're talking about a paradigm, we're talking about a standard or a model in which anything else like it is compared against, if you like. All right. And she's also known for composing other songs such as Pass Me Not, O Gentle Saviour, which is something that we normally sing at baptisms. Blessed Assurance, Jesus is Mine. Praise Him, rescue the perishing, and to God be the glory. Oh yes, and it also says, some publishers were hesitant to have so many hymns by one person in their hymnals. So Fanny Crosby actually used nearly 200 different aliases during her career. Wow. And this is going to surprise a few of us who go to church, it also says that Crosby also wrote more than 1,000 secular poems. By the word secular, we are basically talking about, pop poems or pop songs, secular songs, pop songs, and had 4 books of poetry published as well as 2 best-selling autobiographies. Okay, so this is where I'm going to stop as far as an introduction is concerned. The reason why I chose Fanny Crosby is because I remember when I was growing up in church and I was looking at the hymnals that we were given as kids, to sing from. And almost every single song that I randomly looked at was composed by Fanny J. Crosby. I thought, who is this Fanny J. Crosby? How come she's so popular, And so, so that's it really. As far as the music is concerned, it is number 373 in the Adventist hymnal, and there's actually 2 tunes to it. So the first tune goes like this, so I'm going to set it on my keyboard. Give me a moment. Okay, I'm just going to set up my keyboard. Okay, so the first version sounds like this. Okay, so that's basically one of the verses of the song. That's the first verse of the song. The song itself has, I think, about 3 verses, of which I'm going to quote them. I'm going to show you. Okay, so the first verse goes, "Redeemed have I loved to proclaim it, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, redeemed through His infinite mercy, His child and forever I am." And the chorus goes, redeemed, redeemed, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, redeemed, redeemed, His child and forever I am. The second verse goes, redeemed and so happy in Jesus, no language my rapture can tell. I know that the light of His presence with me doth continually dwell. And then it goes to the chorus again. And then finally the third verse goes, I know there's a crown that is waiting in yonder bright mansion for me, and soon with the Spirit made perfect, at home with the Lord I shall be. It's a really beautiful song, because when we're talking about redemption, to be redeemed means that you have been, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, a value has been placed on you. You are not damaged goods. You are precious in the eyes of the Almighty. Of course, there's another description of that I found on the web, in which it has an even better description than what I've just mentioned. Bear with me just a moment. I know it's here somewhere. Okay, here we go. This is from a website called womenofchristianity.com. And here it goes. It says, the word redeemed implies the idea of a slave standing on the trader's auction block being offered to the highest bidder. At last, the price is paid by a compassionate new owner who then gives the slave his unconditional freedom. But the freed slave, out of gratitude to his new owner, offers himself as a loving bond servant for life to his redeemer. Now, there's also like a spiritual context regarding this as well, which talks about our relationship with God. Okay, so there is another arrangement of this song, another musical arrangement. Unfortunately, I cannot remember off the top of my head what number it is in our hymn book, but it uses the same words, but the tune's very different. Take a listen to this. Okay, now the first difference here is I'm going to be playing it in a different key, so here we go. Okay, so that is a second version of Redeemed. Like I said before, unfortunately, I don't know the number in the hymnal for this particular version of the song, but I do know that it has the same lyrics written by the same author. But I think the musician might be a different person. So yeah, so that's Redeemed. Now, another purpose of this video is to do with reconstructing that song for the purpose of it to be a backing track for a singer who would like to sing this in a congregational setting, or even a concert setting, or public performance setting. So a bit of history about myself as someone who does these things. Back in the late 1990s, actually I think it was slightly earlier than that, I think about 1995, I used to produce music for various well, sorry, I'm skipping the gun here. I first got involved in producing music actually when I was about 13. And back in those days, we didn't really have computers that we'd normally create backing tracks with or anything like that. Bearing in mind that when I was 13, this is 1987, I think, something like that. I'm not going to tell you my age now. I mean, that's giving too much stuff away. But I used to play the piano, and I also used to play the organ. Obviously, I still play the piano and the organ now. But you see, back in those days, I played by ear. I was never formally trained in music at all. For some reason, I just gravitated towards the piano, and I've always had some kind of, I don't know, there's something about the piano as an instrument that clicked with the way that I was thinking. So yes, I played by ear, and it wasn't until about, say, the mid 90s when I started to express an interest in recorded music, in recording different parts of the music. Nowadays we call it music production or sequencing. And I started off producing for people like Byron Taylor, um, Steadfast, who are a gospel group in Birmingham, and few other folks like Godfrey Moore and Willing Spirit, local groups in this city of Birmingham. And I sort of became a bit well known. Really, I was doing stuff for free. I'll never forget that, because back then I wasn't completely aware of the value of what I was doing for the people that I got in contact with. And so basically, to cut a long story short, several years later, we're talking like 2002, that was when I started to get into music theory, and I found myself going to university to do a degree in music technology. And after about 3 years of going to university, I came back to Birmingham. Actually, I went to De Montfort University in Leicester. For those of you who are from Leicester, nice. So yeah, I came back from university, and the very first major project that I got involved with was to do with producing a backing track for a video that we did at Camp Hill that was celebrating 50 years of the church's existence. And not very long after that, I ended up producing for other people as well, and then the list goes on. The latest project that I have produced was for a group called Steadfast, and they have released an album a few years ago called Just Keep On. You can buy it from Amazon or any other store that sells music. Anyway, so yes, if I was to approach this particular song, Redeemed, and to produce a backing track for it, the style that I'm thinking is a very smooth sort of style. It's not the kind of style that you would obviously play in church as a hymnal or anything like that. This is a different style. It's more soulful, but I suppose depending on who you are, you might gravitate to it, you might not. You might be more traditional in the sense that I like it the piano version or the organ version, or those sort of things. I don't mind. I'm not here to cause friction, by the way. I do have my own musical taste as well, but again, this is just to show you how these tracks are made onto the keyboard. So again, the version of the song that I'm going to base this track on is the second version, which goes like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to build it up, and to build it up, I'm going to call up the tempo. Now the tempo is the timing of the song, so it goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the first thing you'll notice here also is that instead of the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 timing of the original song, I'm going to go for a straight 4/4, which means 4 beats in a bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But obviously not at that speed. So I'm going to call up a bass sound. This is the sound that holds the song, the whole song together. Okay, so now going to record this bass sound into it. Okay, I'm just hoping that you can still hear me. Good. Alright, I'm going to turn this up a bit, and I am going to record this bass line, but to give it some context, I'm also going to be humming the actual melody, so you'll get the idea of what I'm trying to achieve. Okay, just make sure I got the camera right. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to have a 4 beat counting, and it will go something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that was that was the main verse part. Now I'm going to create the chorus, which goes something like this. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do, do. Okay, so that was the bass part. Now the next part that I'm going to put in is what we call the main background chords, and the sound I'm going to use for these background chords is the organ. So it sounds like this. So here's the tone wheel organ, as it's called, and I'm using a foot pedal as well to adjust the organ as well, the organ sound, the swirling effect. So you can hear that vibrato effect. Okay, and I'm going to record this this part into the song. So this is for the verse. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then I'm going to record the background chords for the chorus. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops, my mistake. Okay, that was from a bar forward. So I'm going to do it from the beginning of this chorus part. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, and that's another mistake. Oh dear. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now that might sound a bit off, so I'm just going to play just a chorus bit. Yeah, slightly off on the bass. So I might record the bass a bit later, re-record it, that is. And let's hear the first verse again. Okay, right, now for those of you who are musically inclined, it's quite obvious that there are some mistakes in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-record the bass part. Now what I could have done, I could have actually just edited a section of the bass, but unfortunately this keyboard, as good as it is, it doesn't enable me, or it doesn't allow me to microscopically edit a particular note. So I'm going to play it from the beginning and hope for the best. Here we go. So I'm going to go into the acoustic bass part, and I'm going to re-record the bass. So alright, now I think also I might simplify the bass part, really, just for the purposes of this particular exercise. And the reason for that is because when you want to do more complex stuff, it's probably better if you do this on a computer more than just on the keyboard. But each one of us has different preferences when it comes to approaching music. So I'm now going to record the bass part for the verse again. 2, 3, 4. Hang on a minute. Yeah, that's right. Yep, that's correct. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that was for the verse. Now for the chorus. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. My mistake. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's basically the bass and the organ section. Now, I know it sounds a bit plain, doesn't it? How about we put in some rhythm? I am going to put in a very gentle sounding drum pattern, and when I'm playing the drums, I'm going to mainly use the hi-hats. You'll probably see on this keyboard. Here we go. And maybe some like kick drum and rim tap. So basically, I'm now going to record the rhythm section, and I hope it turns out all right. Fingers crossed. Okay, so I select the drum part, and I am going to do my thing. All right, here we go. So those are the instruments that I'm going to use. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then I'm going to record the drum pattern for the chorus. Now, one thing that I can do is that to separate the drums and the verse, to make a distinction between them. And normally, as a musician, you would accent the first beat. So, as a drummer, let's say, they would accent the first beat by playing a cymbal like that. Yeah, so it's like the first beat is accented like that, so it gives a bit of distinction between verse and the chorus. So this is the chorus section right now, and I am going to record the drums for it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is how it sounds with the drums as well. So I might need to tidy it up a bit because of timing issues and so on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is a process called quantizing. What quantizing means is that in the context of what I'm going to do, basically it tidies up the notes so that you want the notes to follow a certain rhythm, if you like. Basically, you tidy it up so that it doesn't sound sloppy like it does sound now. So here we go. I'm going to go onto the drum track, and I'm actually going to do some quantizing or tidying up the notes. So this shouldn't take too long to do. All right, this should do it. Okay, I'm just making sure it sounds alright on the chorus first. Much better indeed. And I'll let it run for a bit until we get back to the chorus, and I'll do the same action on the chorus as well. chorus. Okay, I've got to quantize the chorus. Sorry, that's the verse. So I'm going to quantize the verse as well. Alright, this should do it. And then when we play back the verse, it should sound like this. So it's much more tidier. Okay. Now, before I carry on, I'm basically trying to make this as easy to digest as possible. Normally, when you go into music, depending on your expectations, because I've been playing music for as long as I can remember, since I was about 11 years old, it's very easy as musicians to jump right in the deep end and say, oh, you do this, oh, you do this, and you just play all sorts of crazy stuff, you know. But I am simplifying it so that you know, I don't lose people who are tuning in, and I hope you are. At the same time, though, I'm not intending to make it sound boring either. I mean, there was loads of different ways of playing this one song. This is just one of them. Okay, so the final thing that I'm going to add here is the melody, really, the actual melody. But because this is a backing track, we don't actually record a melody in there, and because of that, I actually am going to sing the melody. So yes, this is the first time I've ever done this in a very, very long time. And what I'm actually doing is that I'm singing the lyrics to this song. So just imagine you're in a situation when you are the one that has to sing this song, and we've got the backing track's all done and everything. We just need you to sing it. So this is live, this is Facebook, and this is the first time I'm actually going to do this. With that said, the last time I sung in my entire life was probably when I was in my late teens, early 20s. So don't expect me to sound like Michael Jackson or anything like that. So I hope you enjoy it anyway, and this will be the last thing that I'm going to do before I sign off. So for those of you who have made it here thus far, I really, really am grateful that you have. Of course, once again, we're in a situation where we are in isolation, you know, and I know some of us would rather, you know, get back to normal, do the things that we normally do. And, you know, I'm not taking advantage of this. Well, actually I am, you know, but I know that all of us have things to do in our lives. And this is what I would normally do when I'm not at work. And it's also my gift to Facebook, to all of you who are my friends on Facebook. If you feel like, you know, distributing it to other people, feel free. You know, the good thing is that I've come prepared much better than I was on my last video. Anyway, without further ado, let's do this. So I'm going to play the first verse as the intro. So here we go. I'd love to proclaim it, redeemed by The blood of the Lamb redeemed through His infinite mercy, His child, and forever I am redeemed, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, redeemed. How I love to proclaim it, His child, and forever I am redeemed, and so happy in Jesus. No language my rapture can tell. I know that the light of His presence with me doth continually dwell. Redeemed, redeemed, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, redeemed through His infinite mercy, His child, and forever I am. I know there's a crown that is waiting, that is waiting in yonder bright mansion for me, and soon with the Spirit made perfect at home with the Lord I shall be redeemed, redeemed, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, redeemed through His infinite mercy, His child, and forever I am. Chorus again. Redeemed, redeemed, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, redeemed. How I'd love to proclaim it, His child, and forever I am redeemed. How I love to proclaim it, His child, and forever I am. Okay, right then. So that was it. Thank you very much for hanging around and watching this video. Yeah, much appreciated. Okay, for the time being, this is going to be this will be my final video for the week, because I know that I've got things to do. I know that there are certain things that I need to sort out as well, but I've certainly had a blast. A couple of mistakes here and there, and I know this is supposed to be a masterclass, but we're human at the end of the day, you know. And I'm thankful that you've hung out. Okay then. So this is Brian Quarry signing off. And once again, as I keep saying before, be safe, keep safe. I love you, and God has got this. Peace.